Okay, we'll call the regular meeting of council for August 9th, 2021 to order at 3 p.m. Ask for a motion from Councillor Masterman that council adopt the agenda for the regular council meeting August 9th, 2021 as presented.
Yes, I'll make that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. And consent agenda and the strategic priorities chart. Sorry. Ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that the following are adopted by an omnibus motion in accordance with council's procedure bylaw. July 12th regular council minutes, July 12th special council minutes, and the strategic priorities chart.
I'll give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Discussion, changes? Carried. Jody, is there any public comments that we have within the last 15 minutes that we talked?
There are no public comments. Thank you.
Thank you. So first delegation is from the Kiwanis Club of Okotoks. We've got Wendy. Is that right? Who else is with us from Kiwanis?
Yes, I'm here, Mayor
Hi,
Snodgrass.
Wendy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good, good. Are you just presenting by yourself, Wendy?
Yes, unfortunately, Tracy could not join us today.
Okay, no problem at all. You go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass and councilors. We're here to challenge you. Literacy for Life used to hold the great Growing Up Spelling Bee as a means of raising money for their projects. The organization, of course, has closed its doors. The late Mayor Bill Robertson, a member of our Kiwanis Club, was instrumental in obtaining all the materials once used for that event and encouraged us to revive the concept for fundraising once again. We are honored to do so. It is fun, it's challenging, and more importantly, it provides funds for the vulnerable in our region. The date is October 2nd. It will take place 1:30 to 4 at the Bill Robertson's Gym in the Percy Pegler School in Okotoks. And we look forward to your team registration. I understand your team has participated in the past. The team registration fee is $300, and the team can be comprised of counselors and/or other members of your community. Teams are encouraged to raise pledge money to increase their donations above their entry fee. And unfortunately, these pledge amounts are not tax deductible. Pledges can be collected by the team in person, or they can be dropped off the day of the event. We will have a table so you can get people to do their pledges and drop them off at the event. And there are special prizes for the teams for those of you who have participated in the past. The winners, the best costume, the most pledges obtained, and we also have a special prize for You've Been Schooled, and we all know where that one's going to be. And like golf, we are offering mulligans for purchase at the event. So we believe in first chances, second chances, third chances, and fourth chances. So mulligans are 1 for 25, 2 for 50, 3 for 100. The number of teams is strictly limited because we're only holding the event from 1 to 4:30. So get your team in early. The top adult spellers, of course, will hold the coveted place in the region for 1 year, and then they can come back and defend their honor. We are honored to bring back this event. Bring your team, bring your cheering section, knowing you are contributing to the vulnerable in our communities. Please read The Buzz of the Bee to understand the outreach of Kiwanis in the region. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. And I do believe that the legislative officer has the full package for review by council. Is that true, Mayor Snodgrass?
Yeah, we've got it in our council package. I'm just looking at it now. So we're looking at October 2nd, 2021 at 1:30 p.m. And it looks like you need 1, 2, 3, and then an alternate. So just a suggestion out there. It's really weird, but like we've got 4 outgoing councillors that would all just fit this bill perfectly as kind of one of their last standing jobs to do as a councillor for the town of High River. So I'm going to nominate them right now. We'll see if they actually bite on it, but I think it would just be wonderful of them to do that. So.
And there will be no embarrassment for those who are running again.
That's right. And that way, you know, Craig, myself, Michael, and Jamie, we will choose their costumes for them. Make sure they're dressed up nice as outgoing councillors.
Well, thank you, ladies and
Don't
gentlemen.
worry about a thing.
Sorry, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I won't take any more of your time. We're looking forward to seeing you, and you can get your registration package in ASAP to the email that's down below, or on the package. And if your name goes in real early, because like I say, we are very limited for the number of teams, so get yours in early. Ed Sands is telling me that he's the best speller in the region, so hopefully you can come out and prove he's wrong. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
Excellent. Thanks, Wendy. And Ed is really good. He's very good at it. Question from Councillor Masterman. Probably a comment.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Snodgrass, and Wendy, thanks for the wonderful presentation. I just think it would be even more wonderful if the 3 incumbents that are running for office for re-election were to model the outfits that you wanted us to maybe choose from, and then we could, if you each modeled a different one, then we could pick which one we wanted. That might be even better.
I can do that. I have no pride.
Yes, well, apparently I don't either. So
yeah, what I model, you're wearing. So game on.
Thank you.
Thanks,
people.
Wendy. Look what you started. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You're right. Thank you. Okay, this will get entertaining. Little tiny cold ton of green beans. Just thinking about it already. Something Warren would wear that'll fit Bruce perfectly. Youth Park Task Force. Amanda.
Hi, Craig.
Hey, Sarah.
How are you?
Doing well. You're presenting?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Amanda's just going to share her screen. Can you see the screen?
Just
Mayor?
one second.
Yeah,
How about
you
that?
bet. Oh, good.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having me back as a follow-up to our June 28th presentation on the High River Youth Park. As most of you know, my name is Sarah Brunsma. We continue our forward momentum on the youth park. We've obtained 3 quotes on the sport court, and after careful deliberation decided to award the contract to Sport Court Alberta and Grizzly Creek Projects Limited. We would like to thank Darlene Donovan and Peter Leek, who supported us in making this decision. I'd also like to thank Amanda King, Shelley Coote, and Janelle Kennedy for their ongoing research, guidance, and participation with the Youth Task Force on this project. The youth park's making strides towards completion. The group got together and repainted the existing picnic tables, included making a pride bench. The landscaping is moving forward nicely. We're now ready for sod and mulch after having irrigation put in. Once the park is completed, we're looking forward to having a COVID-friendly grand opening. Thanks again for having me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Sarah. Any questions from council? I don't have any because you're so efficient with your information. So I will ask for a motion from Councillor Cooey that council award the Youth Park Sport Court to Grizzly Creek Projects and Sport Court Alberta in the amount of $115,000, including contingency.
I'll happily give you that and look forward to seeing the kids on it.
Any questions from council? All in favor? Carried.
Perfect. Thank you.
Carry on, Sarah. Thanks,
Thank
Amanda.
you. Thank you.
Looks awesome, by the way, when you drive by. So well done. Very
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thanks a lot.
Lane closure, Sarah.
Hey, it's me, Mr. Mayor.
Hello, Sarah.
Sarah is not in today. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. Just going to give a quick kind of presentation here. As Council is aware, this development for the fire hall expansion was approved on June 2020. And Alberta Transportation confirmed that they had no concerns with the town commencing construction on this project while the laneway closure by law was in progress. So the reason we're here today again for the third time is just because of a very small and minor clerical error from the land title. They could not figure the correct descriptions with the surveyor. And so they've rejected our submission twice. And finally, our surveyor had a meeting with land title, and now they have figured out the situation and they have captured the correct land description. And that's what they have submitted to us lately. So now we have submitted the same description to the utility companies, TELUS and Fortis, and they have amended their agreements. And now, once we have received them back, we will send them to the minister at the transportation, Alberta Transportation for signatures, and then we will resubmit and they should be approved and finalized. So it's really very minor issue, but it has to come back and we have to do it again and resubmit our package. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Halid. Can you hear me, Halid?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I just had a little glitch in Zoom here, so I'm just wanted to make sure that everything is still running. Any questions from council? We've been through it enough times that we know what this is all about, so. All good. As for a motion from Councillor Nychuk, the council give first reading to bylaw 4600-2021, and the council give second reading to bylaw 4600-2021, and that all council present give unanimous consent to proceed with third and final reading of bylaw 600-2021.
I will give you that comprehensive motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Ask for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn. The council give third and final reading to bylaw 4600-2021.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I will give you that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Halid. High River North Park naming proposal. Gennady.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me well?
You bet.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor and councilors. I'm here today to seek a request for decision on the High River North Park naming application by the applicant, Glenda Cuthbert of the United Way and High River Partnership, and Shellycoot, who is the town representative for the United Way and High River Partnership. They are present today. I will present the main points of the report for the request for decision, and Glenda and Shelley can address any questions you may have at the end of the presentation. The naming proposal is for the North Park, formerly known as the Mini Pot at 1204 10th Street Southeast, and is proposed to be named by the applicant the Perry Youth Park, with a plaque installed at the entry of the park to commemorate the generous donation of $200,000 received by the partnership from Richard Brian Perry. This donation, after many discussions by the partnership, was chosen to go towards a legacy project that became the redevelopment and enhancement of the North Park at this former mini-pot site. Town administration is supportive of this request. The naming application received by the town has been reviewed and processed following the town of High River naming policy and naming procedure. An internal circulation was done and no comments or concerns regarding the naming proposal were received. The naming policy and naming procedure allows for a park to be named after a person as long as they have met at least one of the required criteria of the naming procedure. And in this case, the applicant's naming application has met this requirement, specifically criteria number 2, which allows the park to be named after a person who makes a significant material contribution towards a municipal facility with the express purpose of benefiting the residents of High River. Town administration is therefore supportive of the proposed recommendation and has identified no cons with the naming proposal. The pros are the applicant will be able to move forward with naming the park Perry Youth Park and installing the flag as presented in attachment 1. The financial implications of the recommendation fall solely on the applicant, who is responsible for the costs associated with the creation, installation, and maintenance of the flag and naming of the park. And for organizational implications, if the motion is accepted and approved, administration will ensure to follow the naming policy and procedure for any updates to the signage and mapping requirements, and perform all the necessary circulations of the naming adoption to internal and external agencies. In conclusion, town administration is seeking council decision on the naming proposal as presented. Council can choose to support the proposed recommendation. Council can choose to not to support it and defeat the motion. And council can choose to refer the proposed recommendation to a committee of the whole meeting for further discussion. Should council choose to accept and approve the naming proposal as presented, the proposed naming of the North Park as Perry Youth Park will be formally adopted by the town, and administration will then communicate council decision through a letter sent via email to the applicant. If you have any questions, Glenda and Shelley should be here as well, and they may address any questions you have.
Excellent. Thanks, Gennady. Glenda, for you, I've got one question that you're probably the best to help me with this one. The naming of it as Perry Youth Park. When I first looked at it, I thought, oh, what did Oliver do? Right? So that's where I thought, well, and then I read it, and obviously it's not Oliver that donated the money. So my only question was, a lot of people will automatically default to Oliver Perry.
We'll assume it's Oliver Perry.
Yeah. So I was just wondering if we put, do you feel we need to differentiate that and have it like RB Perry Youth Park, or just a suggestion, whatever you guys come up with, or whatever way you want to go is I'll support it 100%. It was just
or Brian Perry Youth Park.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Something like that, just to keep it.
I don't think our committee would have any problem with adding Mr. Perry's first name. So even though it was Richard Bryan, he went by Brian. So some of you might remember Joan Perry, his wife. She was quite culturally involved in town. We are just most honored on behalf of United Way Partnership. We're so pleased to be able to honor the donor in this way. His years spent helping the youth of High River and area exemplify why naming this youth park Perry Park is so appropriate. And our wish is for council to support this motion and to be named. I totally support. If you want to put Richard Bryan Perry, that's fine as well.
Why don't we just say in the motion, why don't we just say RB Perry Youth Park, so it's defined in that, and then you guys and you folks and Brian can sort out really what you want.
Whether we want to put his initials or his full name. Okay,
Yeah, I think that's up.
that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay, thank you. Question from Councillor McMillan.
Thank you very much, Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you very much, Janati and Glenda and Shelley. It's just a comment that I have that I just think this is absolutely such a beautiful tribute. And it's just so heartwarming for someone who had such a positive impact on youth and considering this exciting project. So I just think it's just so tremendous.
If I could just add, what's really tremendous is the youth that have supported us, like tidying up taking that old green AstroTurf off, and like they have really put the bar up here as far as helping out, which is just exemplifies why we're doing this for them. And the older youth, we really need a place for them, and this hopefully will be the best place in High River Forum. We're so excited to add this beautiful park to our town. So
Well done. Okay, I will ask for a motion from Councillor Moore that council accept and approve the applicant's naming proposal as Richard Brian Perry Youth Park. Final actual naming to be determined by the committee and Richard Brian Perry. Period. That's the motion.
Thank you. I will make that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried.
thank you. And I just want to wish everybody that's rerunning good luck. And also thank you for your last 4 years of service to the town of High River on behalf of the citizens of the town. It's such an important duty that you are just completing, and I applaud you all.
Thanks, Glenda.
Well done.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor and councilors.
Thanks, Gennady. Thanks, Shelley. Take care. Leanna, 2021 Q2 investment report.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here in front of you today to give you an update for our Q2 investment report. So back in August 2017, the town had invested $50 million with the CIBC Wood Gundy. And when we came to you at the end of December of 2020, we had a total of $56,177,689.89 in our investment. To date, at the end of June, we have $56,339,341.91 for a total increase of $161,652.02, which gives us a slight increase of a 0.32% increase. We are being fiscally responsible by ensuring that we are ensuring the safety, liquidity, and return of our assets. And I'm just here to give you an update. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions from council? Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mr. Snodgrass. Appreciate the report, Leanna. Thank you. Question in terms of the investment. Looks like the majority of the portfolio is at a medium risk level, 90% of the portfolio. Am I reading that correctly?
I would say low to medium for the most part.
Yeah, in the report, it says 10% low risk, 90% medium risk. What was the number, 0.03%?
0.032 from December of 2020 to June 30th.
Just at a, I guess I'm just looking at the risk factor and the return that we've put on it, and I don't know. You could debate it a whole bunch of different ways if it's a significant return or not on that volume of money. But I just wanted a little bit of clarification to understand, yeah, that percentage of return and the risk tolerance
If we were going to increase our risk tolerance, we would have to go back and amend our investment policy and
Oh,
would have to bring this back to council.
I'm not asking to change it. I'm just wondering at that medium risk level, if we're attaining a medium risk level return. But I mean, obviously we need the safety of the funds first and foremost for the community. I might be looking at this too much from a personal perspective. So thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Leanna. Information only, so we can move on. Operating budget amendment for the hardware and software upgrade for utility mobile radio meter reads. Cindy? No?
Good afternoon. Here I am. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before you have a request for a budget amendment for the upgrading of the hardware and software for the utility mobile reading radio meter reads, mouthful. We received notification in late January of 2021 from MeterCore that as of December 31st, the MVRS software will no longer be supported and is at the end of life for this software. So in order to have the new hardware and software to enable us to read our radio read frequency, the supplier will require 3 months to ensure that we have the hardware and software upgrade for the utility mobile radio meter reads here on site. So is there any questions?
Councillor McMillan?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Cindy, for your presentation. I just have a question about the MeterCore quotation.
Mm-hmm.
It just said in the notes part that freight and taxes are not included. And do you know roughly what that will be on top of the 30,000?
MeterCore has not said that to me because it'll be shipped to MeterCore and then they will bring it down to us. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then I guess my other question is on note number 2, it said prices are valid for 30 days. And this quote was given on June 25th. Just in light of the situation, are you confident that they'll keep the price the same?
Yes, I have been in contact with MeterCore and telling him that we had to take it to council. So I have been in contact with him and told him that it is going to council today. And he was good with that.
Perfect. Thank you, Cindy.
Great.
Councillor Nychuk?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass, and thanks through to Cindy. On the new equipment, new software, is there an end of life projection on this investment? What are we looking at as?
This is a new, sorry.
Yeah, just longevity timeframe.
This newer software is actually going to be in the cloud, so it's going to have a little bit more longevity to it. That's why the $9,200 for the operating budget for next year is quite high, but it's going to be in the cloud, so it is the newer of the software. So they didn't give me a actual time frame on this one, but it is the newer of all the softwares.
And you brought up the 9,200. Is that? I looked in the report. I think I got 11,000 on annual fees, not 9,200. Am I mistaken?
Yeah, no, 9,200 is the annual fee, which will be in Gary's operating budget for next year. But we had included it in the package, but it will be for the new year.
Because in the first page of the quotation, it's got annual fees payable to Itron, 184 for annual maintenance, 1690 for annual maintenance and support, and then 9,200 for another application drive. I mean, it's pennies on our entire budget, but it's a little bit more than just the stated 9,200. Thank you.
Okay.
No further questions. That's for a motion from Councillor Kinghorn. The council approved the budget amendment for a hardware and software upgrade for utility mobile radio meter reads in the amount of $30,000 to come from the Water Utility Reserve Fund, and that council direct administration to place the order for the hardware and software upgrade for utility mobile radio meter reads.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. I will give you that motion.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Parks and Open Space Master Plan. Halid is back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon again. It's me. I'm just going to really not going to make a presentation, but just going to summarize where we were and where are we at right now. So, and if council wishes that they need the presentation, I have a presentation to go through the whole plan. Okay. So after the master plan has been completed, we have prepared, administration prepared 3 reports and delivered 3 presentations to council regarding the draft plan. The first presentation was at the committee of the whole meeting held on February 8, 2021. And then the second presentation was at the regular council meeting held on June 14, 2021. During these 2 meetings, council provided suggestions and directions to administration. And then the proposed draft master plan as attached have been adjusted to reflect council input, including adding a new theme to the proposed action plan named Respect Nature, and also added additional information to the proposed community playbook, and fixed all identified typos and grammatical errors. The third presentation was delivered at the last COW meeting held on July 12th. And at that last meeting, council did ask questions and made comments, but did not request any changes or adjustments to be completed prior to bringing this draft plan again to council at this meeting. Now, I trust that the proposed master plan represents all of the required information and aligns with the scope of work of the project. And so it's up to council at this point. If they have more questions, I'm more than happy to provide answers. And if they want me also to go through a presentation, I have a presentation as well to go through it again. And if they want any adjustments or changes to the plan, we are more than happy to accommodate those comments. That's conclude my presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Halid. Questions from council. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you very much, Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you very much, Halid. My question is just about the, and I know we had brought it up at the committee of the whole about the, looking at the 2021-2022 projects, the 1.3, the renaming George Lane Memorial Parks Campground to Riverside Campground. So I wasn't sure if we would be discussing this today because I know this, or is it, well, I guess my first question would be, is if this is going to be in 2022, where the project strategic timeline is, will you be bringing this forward to council then for a discussion? Or I guess also I'd kind of like to know the appetite of this current council's position about that, because this particular project has been coming up in our discussions.
Thank you, Councillor Macmillan. The items that we will bring back to council are those items that, or projects that have or need budget. If an item doesn't need a budget and that can be implemented by administration, then that wouldn't be, we wouldn't bring it back to council. So like the namings and whatnot, those, they don't have budget that comes with it. So it would be just implementation if council supported.
Right. So I guess that's why I would put this out as a question to fellow council, if we could discuss this, because that's, and you clarified that for me, Halid, with it having a 0 cost factor, that is there an appetite for us to discuss this?
Can you clarify what your question was again?
Well, what my question is do we want to rename the campground from George Lane Memorial Park to what is proposed is going to be called Riverside Campground? And I guess to lead into it, is, and I brought forward my concerns at committee of the whole. I think that if it's called Riverside Campground, there's going to be a lot of confusion about where to find it, because like Riverside Drive and all that area. And right now, I know when I'm stopped on the street for people asking where the campground is, it's just so easy to say it's in the park, right? So I guess that's why I was thinking, do we need to change it? I know the logic in the plan is that it has this whole river connectivity component, but I think we're quite familiar with that. So that's why I would really like to hear, well, I would like to discuss this piece. Does that make sense, Mayor Snodgrass?
Yep. No, I just wanted to clarify there. I have no desire to change the name of the campground, but Councillor, I can't remember who was up first. I think Councillor Masterman was first.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. So, yeah, I don't know. Just to go to Councillor McMillan's question, I'm kind of torn on this. I understand the thinking of it by the plan, but I'm in favor of many parts of this master plan, but I'm not in favor of that. And I think one reason, I mean, apart from what Councillor McMillan has pointed out quite legitimately, that confusion that could arise is that I think people might in High River might just misunderstand that we're, that the town is renaming, the entire park and not just a campground. And it's interesting to me, Khalid, and I really appreciate all your effort on this. I really do. When you say that this wouldn't necessarily come to council because it's not a budget item, but we just had to make a decision on what to call the youth park. And so I don't know, I won't be on council when this actually comes to council, so I probably don't have a right to even talk about it. But I just think that something major like this, should come to council. And there certainly is some budget involved in that. Any renaming would require changing of signs and various other things and websites, and so anyway, but that wasn't, that's just to your question, Councillor McMillan. I don't think it's going to be, well, it won't be this council that will be on watch when this happens, if it happens, or if there's discussion around it. It won't be this council, but I do think that it should come to council either way. And I just, while I'm talking, and I'm just want to kind of reiterate, and I know you're all tired of hearing me say this, but about the master plan itself. This is a really good plan, and this is a plan that's really, really needed for High River and our green spaces and our parks and especially with us taking on Beechwood, the old Beechwood and Wallaceville and the Rio Vista golf course and adding to the town green space. It's just, it's going to be really good to have a plan, and then council and the community will have to work together on staging in, the plan. And there's some really great ideas, but I just really, really like the community engagement part of it, and that this is, this might be a town of High River master plan, but it won't just be the town of High River making sure it happens. it will be up to the community to take leadership and ownership of this thing. I mean, the town of High River will take leadership. It'll be up to the community to take ownership. And so I just wanted to throw that in. Thanks.
Councillor Kinghorn. You're on mute, Jamie.
Sorry about that. I'd just like to echo Councillor Masterman's comments about the plan. It's well done, it's very detailed, a lot of hard work went into it. And I am really in favor of the plan. However, there are some I would call sacred cows in here, and one of them is renaming the campground. That, to me, does have some financial implications in it, and that, of course, there'd be signage and some other things like that. So I would hope that changes like that will come to the next council. Thank you. And I should say, I'm not in favor of changing the campground name. And thank you, Bruce, Councillor Masterman, for pointing out in the last council meeting that we're talking about the campground and not the entire park. Thank you.
Councillor McMillan.
Thank you once again. Just reflecting here that when we're thinking about, we keep making reference to that because this is 2022, that it will be up to the next council's decision. I was just thinking, though, it was this particular council that we've been reviewing this very in depth and working together with planning. And so I'm just kind of curious. Well, I guess what I would do as a suggestion is I would like to make a motion that the plan is amended to not have item 1.3, like that the campground remains how it's named right now. I know this is a very wishy-washy motion, but I'm just trying to get the words together. But I guess that would be my recommendation, that I'd like to make a motion that we remove project number 1.3 for the projects for 2021-2022 and leave the campground alone.
Perfect. I had just written down that amendment for you to read. So you've already done it. It's dynamite. And Khalid, item 1.3 is the only mention of that renaming, right? Obviously, council is not in favor of.
That's right.
That's right. Nor do we want to. So if we just amended this plan by removing item 1.3, that takes care of it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. And that's absolutely, it's part of the approval process today. Like when I say this won't be brought back to council if it's approved right now, but council have the authority to approve it as it is right now, or remove and adjust any items in the plan today.
Perfect. We'll just take care of it today.
And Khalid, I want you to know how much I respect all of your hard work for your team with this whole project. So it's just fantastic, and it's very, very exciting.
Okay, I'll ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that council adopt the proposed parks, trails, and open space master plan as amended by removing item 1.3.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Questions on the motion, Councillor Masterman?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I wouldn't mind, just before we vote on this, just a Reader's Digest condensed version of the thinking behind that name change, Khalid. And I know it's in this report, and I should have gone back and reread that particular part of it, and I didn't. Can you just give us the condensed version of the thinking behind that?
Well, I mean, I think the consultant really, through the consultation process with the community, they just believe that, you know, the campground, it's a separate kind of entity that really brings different people who have different interests. They may not come into the park itself, but they are coming for different purposes. And the area is really in proximity to the river. And so it's really they said it's attached to the river more than the park. And that's how they said it could be nice to just change the name and make sure that it may actually attract more people because they're coming to the river more than the park itself.
Thanks very much.
And I'll just speak to that. I can understand that consultant from outside of the community that comes in and has a look at it, and I can get that. But as a lifelong resident, when I look at that area, it's George Lane Park, campground, everything. It's all George Lane. The whole thing is just George Lane. If the campground was in a different location, I could probably chew on that a little bit more. But to High River, that's George Lane Park, George Lane Campground. It's at George Lane. Everybody knows where it is, how to get there, blah, blah, blah. So like somebody mentioned, I can't remember who it was, there's sacred cows that I'm not going to disturb. So motion on the floor from Councillor McMillan. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Alid. Good one to have done.
No problem. Thank you.
Are you doing the variance? Well, I guess Sarah's not here, so it's all Alid all day.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is going to also be a short presentation. Just want to make sure that we are on the same page. So during the course of the land use bylaw monitoring program, administration observed that there were two main regulations in the land use bylaw that applicants frequently requested variances on. And the regulations were captured in section 3.4.5 and 3.4.10, which talks about parking structures with frontage on a primary thoroughfare, and also the vehicle access to parking areas. And so also we have realized that there are three main development areas in our community that have relatively long and narrow lots and generally do not have rear laneways. And we know that rear laneways became a requirement when the town rewrote the land use bylaw in 2017. However, subdivisions that were approved during the 90s right through to 2017 were often designed with the expectation that a house with an attached garage at the front and corresponding driveway into the primary thoroughfare would be developed. So the three main areas, as we have illustrated them on Schedule A, include Hampton Hills area, Montrose, and the Northwest. And so these plans of subdivision were approved way before passing the new land use bylaw. And so it just upon review of the existing vacant lots in these areas, administration basically believed that it would be in the best interest for the developers and the applicants to allow a blanket variance for these two specific regulations. And so it's important also to highlight to council that although Development Authority has been granting variances of these two regulations to development within these areas, which were subject to public appeal, administration has never received any concerns or appeals from the general public about these two regulations. And that's why allowing variances would allow for development to continue that is consistent with the existing development within these areas. But moving forward, I think I need also to highlight this. It is our expectation that the new plans of subdivisions within these areas, especially Montrose and Hampton Hills, and the developers are on the same page with us, that would fully comply with the land use bylaw, including the provision of laneways so that variances for driveway locations and garage project would never be required again. So based on this background, it would be ideal to allow and provide blanket variance so that they don't have to go through the variance process anymore. That's the conclusion of my presentation, Mr. Mayor. Are there any questions?
Excellent. Thanks, Khalid. One question I had is in the Hamptons on the map, the Hamptons area, Khalid.
Yes.
The very north, I guess it would be the northeast. There's I think it's one of the phases, but it's a cul-de-sac up in there.
Let me just, I can share the map with you quickly here. Okay.
So yeah, there you go.
This is the blanket variance. Is this the one?
Yep. So the Hamptons, and then the very northeast corner of that Hamptons highlighted purple area. There's the new builds in that cul-de-sac.
Yes.
You know, I don't think they have applied to even start building in that area or not, but I'm guessing that would just continue on with this blanket variance in that area,
Absolutely.
Right? Once they come back and do that. The other areas are new developments, so they would be subject to the new bylaws. Correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, Mayor Snodgrass, and thank you, Khalid. The one thing I did notice, and I emailed Sarah on the weekend, not realizing that she was away, but this policy regarding the existing lots is not attached. The infill one has been attached at this one as well as on the other. So we're actually not seeing policy 22-110.
Oh.
The infill one has been attached twice. So technically I wasn't sure how this would work. Is that would this particular one have to be brought back at another meeting so that it's actually that we have reviewed it? Because I know you've summarized, but technically if we're voting on improving the policy, it's a policy we actually haven't formally seen.
That's very strange. I'm not sure because we did process 2 reports, and each report had a policy with it. So I'm not sure what happened on the final package.
Because the 2 reports are there, like your 2 reports are there, but as far as the actual policy manual component, it's policy 22-109 about the infills has been attached to this part of your presentation, as well as it's attached to the following presentation regarding the infills. So technically we can't vote on this because we actually haven't seen.
Okay. That sounds good. We can always deal with the blanket variance. And in fact, I have an observation regarding the second policy for the infill areas. And that it will give us an opportunity to really, because in the current shape of the map, in my view, it does not capture all existing areas and developed areas. So the map needs to be revised to make sure that it included all the areas in the Southwest and a lot of other areas in other areas. So if council is okay with it, we can always bring it back with the revised map and then attach the correct policy for the next meeting.
Yeah, so do you think we should table both of these to the next meeting?
The blanket variance is very clear. This one is very clear. The one for the 3 areas, this is very simple and straightforward. I don't think there's any issues with it.
But Khalid, this is the one that doesn't have the correct policy attached.
Yeah, the policy is not in the, I see what Carol's saying. No.
Okay, we can bring them
So you'd
both
actually
back.
have to table both.
Yeah,
yes, and that's fine. And especially, it wouldn't impact our process because right now, because we know council direction, so we have already moved forward and implemented this council direction and allowing the process to move forward. So it's just a formality that now we're completing. So whether it's today or next meeting, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, let's, Councillor McMillan, if you want to, I'll ask for a motion from Councillor McMillan that council table items 7.5 and 7.6 to the next council meeting for further clarification.
Okay. Sounds
I'll
good.
give you that motion.
All in favor? Just so we can have this tight, but like you said, Halid, this is not holding up any current
No.
development, current
No.
builds or anything else. It's being dealt with. So
That's right.
on the yeah, let's just wait until everything comes back till next week, because I see, but just to avoid any confusion, let's just discuss it next meeting, whenever that is. Can't remember. It's not
Sounds
next
good.
week.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bruce, you can relax. It's not next week. Hampton Hills Landfill Park, let's just move straight into that then. Who's speaking to that one? Riley there? There you are.
I'm here. I didn't know I was speaking to it.
Yeah, Chris isn't at the meeting today, so I was told that you would speak to it. So.
Oh, okay.
So what we're doing.
I guess we have a recommendation. Sorry, I bit not prepared for this. We have a recommendation for mowing, and so we can mow some parts of the cap, and so we did want to. I guess that's largely what the proposal is. We give about and some additional commentary around the pathway. Not totally sure what to do with the pathway at this point, because it is we can't go to a hard, like an asphalt or something, and the weeding is pretty labor intensive, so we need to do a bit more work on that. The three-way stop we can do, provided that's what council wants. We wouldn't, it's not our preferred option. Generally, when you see these three-way stops where they're not warranted by volume, you have all sorts of complacency issues with the drivers and pedestrians. Essentially, what you get is a driver who it gets used to rolling the stop because there's no opposing traffic, and a stop sign where pedestrians expect vehicles to stop, not roll. And so we think that could be an issue there, but not the end of the world either. And then some of the plantings, we did some new plantings with our recent annual program. So that should already be looking better. We're contemplating some plantings along Second with the renewal tree grant. And I think that's about cover it. Mowing on an annual basis wasn't a huge cost. It was around $2,000 a year. Sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. Any questions?
No, that's fine. It's all in the report. So, just questions from council on that three-way stop. As far as I understand, it's only one person that's requested that. Is that right? I'm hesitant to do traffic adjustments.
That's my understanding. It was the three-way stop. I think if you look at the other intersection in Hamptons, it's a similar kind of situation, and it doesn't flow the greatest because of the three-way there either.
Right.
So you'd end up with something somewhat similar. We could look at other options, but other options are, of course, more costly. So if we want to prioritize the pedestrians and look at traffic calming, which is always a good thing, there is definitely a cost associated with that.
Yeah, and that's why I'd like to see a few more people involved in this, asking for this, that live in the Hamptons. If we're gonna, because it costs not a lot of money, but it does cost money to do it. And based on one comment, is
a three-way isn't expensive, but like I said, if we were to pursue traffic calming of something a little more enhanced, whether it's raised crosswalks or pinch points or something, as soon as you touch the concrete, it gets expensive. The other thing too is if we get some more complaints, we could always start doing some traffic counts to try and put some numbers to what actual numbers we're looking at and how big of an issue it is.
Okay. And on the mowing will be done 2 times a year. And Jamie Ellis has been, you know, good for Jamie to be bringing this to us, because I agree it does need to be tidied up some. $1,600 per mow is what Chris had told me. Some of the trees are already replanted, so that's been taken care of. There's issues with the pond out there that we've got to get clarification on with the developer and responsibilities there. And that pathway, yeah, it's 4 inches of loose gravel is hard to walk on. It's like trying to climb a gravel pit. It's brutal. So something needs to be done there, which is why people are walking on the sides of the path. Kathy?
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass, and thanks, Riley, for stepping in. We had talked about that intersection at the police committee a little bit too, and you know, the throughway stop, I think, was the staff sergeant's. He also suggested that as a quick solution, but I agree with you that people will get complacent because there's not enough traffic there. But I know there's been concerns from lots of residents. Not lots of residents, for residents about the speed and the traffic through there. So if we can look at some traffic comment, I think that's probably our best solution. I think that Peter has done some traffic counts and that in there, and if not, I kind of agree with you, Riley, to do some of that, and then we can provide that feedback to that resident too, and just have that in our back pocket. You know, we can track speeds, we can track numbers, and I think those will give some good stats to justify whatever we decide to do. But I think the traffic calming is a good route, a good suggestion.
Okay, no further questions or comments from council, so we'll move on. Thanks for enjoying getting blindsided there, Riley.
No problem.
Filling that one in. Thank you very much. We'll move on to 8.1. Well, not kind of, it's housekeeping stuff, as we did this last year for the Healthcare Foundation. They're asking for the same thing, which is the relaxation for the intensification of use. As most events out there, we require them to be using the FM radio. And of course, the event that the Healthcare Foundation holds out there, being the Big Screen Harvest Party, is a little bit different. So requesting relaxation there. Kieran, do you want to talk to this? Is a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So last year it was discovered that the 5:30 show time was too bright to host a movie. So this year they'd like to offer an acoustic performance for a small group of guests instead. The drive-in lease doesn't allow for a concert to utilize the external speakers, but they're requesting that a relaxation to the rule is given to allow for the use of external speakers from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Administration has advised that as per the most current notice of decision that council approved at the December 14th, 2020 regular council meeting, an intensification of use permit is required to be submitted to the Town of High River Planning Division for consideration in instances such as this event. Planning is working with the High River Sunset Drive-In to receive and review an intensification of use application. And as part of the review, the planning division will circulate internally the intensification of use details and require that the organizers notify the adjacent neighbors. In addition to the request for a relaxation of the requirements, they are requesting the town waive the $250 application fee related to the intensification of use. So the recommendation is be resolved that Mayor and Council direct administration to respond to the intensification of use application when it is received, and that in addition to the relaxation of the requirements, the town waives the $250 application fee related to the intensification of use. Is there any questions from council?
Questions? I see none, I hear none. So ask for a motion from Councillor Moore that the mayor and council direct administration to respond to the intensification of use application when it is received, and then in addition to the relaxation of the requirements, the town waives the $250 application fee related to the intensification of use.
I will make that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. Questions? All in favor? Carried. Thanks, Karen. Jody, I don't know how much. I'll let you talk to it.
Just wanted to highlight that 2021 looks like it's going to be going back to a normal event year at this time. So the High River Balloon Events Committee is looking forward to the Heritage Inn International Balloon Festival this fall. And in doing so, they have been requested to provide a traffic management action plan. Alberta Traffic Supply has provided an updated plan with current costing. The quote maps and overall plan are an estimated cost of $16,900 plus GST. The committee is asking council if they can receive the $16,900 plus GST from the Signature Event Safety Support Fund that has been set aside. And that way the Alberta Traffic Supply can move forward with the 2021 Glow Night preparation. As a bit of an aside, they are also asking for High River Fire Truck to be on site as part of their safety plan and community event support. Administration can forward that one on to our fire chief and deputy fire chief. But for this correspondence for action, we have a resolution prepared. If council so desires, be it resolved that mayor and council direct administration to award the High River Balloon Events Committee in the amount of $16,900 plus GST from the Signature Event Safety Support Initiative for the Heritage Inn Balloon Festival Traffic Management Plan.
Thanks, Jody. So I'll ask for a motion from Councillor Masterman, the mayor and council direct administration to award the High River Balloon Events Committee in the amount of $16,900 plus GST from the Signature Event Safety Supportive Initiative for the Heritage Inn International Balloon Festival Traffic Management Plan.
I'd be happy to make that motion, Mayor Snodgrass.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is carried. Thanks very much, Jody.
Thank you.
Council correspondence, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. Any questions on any of that, Councillor McMillan?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Snodgrass. So first of all, the letter from Rocky Mountain House regarding the cancellation of household hazardous waste funding, I hadn't heard of that. And in that letter, paragraph 3 says that this action burdens municipalities with a $2 million annual cost to safely dispose of that. So I found that rather interesting. I wasn't sure if we wanted to discuss that at a later meeting. Had anyone else heard about that?
Nope.
And then moving on to the letter from Claire's home. This was rather alarming to me because according to that letter, they're talking about that the UCP has plans to remove the requirement for municipalities to have a code of conduct in place to govern councillors, and equally by way of bylaw. And in my mind, this isn't right, because I think this is a necessary framework for guiding behavior and how to deal with things ethically. So the UCP is considering that. So I think that would be something that is worthy of a discussion, you know, to safeguard municipalities. Like, I don't think that we should have our code of conduct removed. Just a point.
Yeah, red tape removal.
Yeah, they're removing the wrong red tape. So.
Yeah.
And then my only other comment is on the letter from the Borks about the erosion of the left bank. They mentioned in paragraph 2 that they haven't had a response from the town. So I was wondering if there's been a response given to them yet.
Which one was that, Carol?
That was the letter from the Borks around, I think it's on
number
page
8. Number 8.
Okay.
And they just happened to mention that they haven't heard anything from the town. So I just wondered if there had been a response.
I'm sorry, I didn't read that one, so I'd have to go back and look at it, but I don't know. Chris isn't here, so it's
I can answer. I'm reading it right now
okay.
too. So, but it looks like he's asking for a response from On the appeal for Southwest Dike?
No,
No, it's about caring about the erosion of the left bank. So it's the first letter. They're sending it to Jason Nixon as well as us. And it just says on Monday, September 14th, we wrote to blah, blah, blah. And then it says there has been no response from the town of High River, nor are we aware that the town has any preventative maintenance plans to assure the integrity of the flood protection works. And the letter is dated July 16th, 2021. And it was received July 21st.
yeah, and can I make a comment? I can't find anything to put my hand up here. So I did get that letter brought in by residents into my gallery. And there's significant erosion of the northwest dike right behind Eldstang's house right now. And I was thinking that this letter should be put into items requiring action, not information. Because apparently there's been no response from the town to their first letter, and this is the second letter.
Okay, Riley, can you bring that forward to the
Yeah, that's no problem. Be happy
Yeah.
to get a response out. Do you want us administration to reply directly to Mr. Bork, or do you want that to come back to council?
No, I think you guys got the information. You can respond directly.
Okay, we'll get a letter out.
And it shouldn't be a letter that just acknowledges receipt of the letter. I think there should be some action at that point.
Agreed. Yes, we'll tell them exactly if there is a plan. We'll describe the plan, and if there's no plan, we'll explain why. I know we're doing a bunch of bank erosion. Off the top of my head, I can't say exactly where it is. So this may or may not be included in that project for next summer.
Okay, if we can just get clarification and council CC'd on it so we know what we're doing.
Will do.
Good catch, Carol. Councillor Cooey.
Thank you. Just to follow up, I'll put my other hat on for a second. The High River District Healthcare Foundation has asked the town for something to use in their online auction. So I know if it doesn't get brought up here, then it'll go by the wayside. So my hope is that you will support the foundation again with something for the auction.
Sounds good. We'll make sure it happens. Councillor Nychuk.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. I don't know if you'll allow me to throw this in here at this point. We had a letter that was emailed to us from a resident out of the Northwest, Sean Smith, talking about a few different things, one of them being the bridge. And I know Riley has responded already. Thank you, Riley, to that resident. But I thought in this public forum that we have a vast audience that watches council meetings online. So just to speak a little bit to what's going on the bridge there, that we don't see people working, but there is work being done offsite to various components of that bridge. And our appreciation to the residents while we get through that work and the one lane closure that we have on the bridge is due to that work going on outside of the community, away from the bridge, and the fact that we need a pathway for pedestrians and bicyclists to go across. That's why we can't have two lanes right now, because it's a safety concern. So I just wanted to bring that forward. A good letter from a community resident bringing up a concern that a lot of people have. They don't see anybody working, but the work is going on. It's getting completed, and it's one lane for safety purposes right now. So again, thanks to Riley for sending Mr. Smith a response. And I just wanted to bring it up here in council today because I know there's been a lot of public comment on it. So just to set the record straight. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Councillor Masterman.
Thanks, Mayor Snodgrass. So I just wanted to go back to Councillor Cooey's comment on the Healthcare Foundation. And just remember last year, we the town of High River was caught kind of embarrassed. I found it an embarrassment when at their annual event they acknowledged a bunch of sponsors, including a bunch of neighboring municipalities, and the town of High River was not in it. And we made a donation kind of after the fact, but at least we made one. And I'm just wondering, it doesn't sound like that's happened. Is that correct, Kathy?
I can speak to that, Mayor Snodgrass. Thanks, Councilor Masterman. I'm going to guess, because I did forward a request for support again, but we've had a lot of letters attached to our council agendas, and I'm going to suggest that I probably missed that we received that. So there has been a request put forward, but there's been no follow-up. So.
Okay, yeah, I guess I just want to, that wasn't a criticism of you or the foundation or anything. I just want to make sure that that this is a donation that the town of High River makes every year. Like the events held every year, it should just be an item that just is automatically donated every year. So so thanks very much for clarifying that.
I think the conversation last year was compared to what I just talked about was an auction item versus a cash sponsorship. So yeah, and we'd obviously welcome the town to be a cash sponsor and appreciate that. But yeah, it hasn't come forward yet. So.
Thank you.
Two seconds. Stuff written down. Okay.
Actually, Mayor
Go ahead,
Snodgrass.
Carol. Yeah.
So Kathy, is there any particular items that people need, like that are good for the online auction that you're looking for specifically?
No, we welcome anything, and we want a real variety of stuff. So, yep. Okay. Thank you though for asking.
Okay, we'll move on to councillor reports. So coal policy update, pretty simple that council will be receiving a 93-page document that we just scanned here a few minutes ago. We got it finalized today, but that's what Councillor Masterman and myself are presenting to the Alberta Coal Policy Committee led by Mr. Ron Wallace tomorrow morning. We get that opportunity to bring everything, all the work that we've done in gathering support for our coal restriction policy, as well as Bruce has done an absolutely amazing job of going through pretty much anything that any municipality has mentioned about this coal mining debacle. Bruce has compiled it all together, and it's absolutely fantastic how comprehensive it is. But so council will be seeing that report come through, and that's what we're going to be presenting to the committee tomorrow morning. Any questions? All good. Nothing further. Meeting adjourned, 4:18 p.m. Have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.